All right, welcome back to the Now Morning Show. It's Friday, and of course, it's Culturetainment. And for today, we are looking at folk music, just as we did last week. And of course, we're trying to go right across the Caribbean because it's something we have in common. And joining us all the way from Bahamas today is Mr. Fred Ferguson, who is a musician and producer. Good morning to you, Mr. Ferguson.
Good morning to you all. It's good to be here early in the morning, but great to be here.
I know it's early in the morning here for us too, every morning.
Yes, thank you so much.
So we've been talking about folk music for the entire morning so far, right? And I understand that in the Bahamas, there's something called Reek and Script.
Right.
Tell me about Reek and Script. What is that?
And you know, I was listening to the gentleman you had on just a moment ago and was realizing how closely connected all of the music of this region is. Because the rhythms, like we say, it's the rhythms of Africa and the melodies of Europe, and it's connected all across the Caribbean. The Reek and Script music of the Bahamas is pretty much the same as what you do with the Jingping in Dominica and the mento in Jamaica, where we use whatever instruments we could find to make a rhythm, and is usually bolstered with a guitar or an accordion. So the Reek and Script is the accordion with the saw. When the persons are working on the construction jobs, they will use the saw to scrape to make the rhythm, or they'll beat sticks together, or they'll get a comb with wax paper. And I'm sure a lot of this is familiar to you in your countries as well. So the connectivity is really interesting.
Yes, it's basically finding whatever you have around you to be able to make the music to get through the situations that you're in.
Yes, and also a lot of it is centered around the music of the church. So the melodies are very four-part harmony with the hymns that we sing. And usually when I look at like South African movies and stuff, the melodies are usually all the same, very heavy on the four-part harmony. And the rhythms. What make the rhythms different pretty much is how our accents are different when we speak. I guess where we place the accent on the 16th note phrase makes it identifiable for each country.
Right.
Right. And that's interesting because sometimes we like to focus so much on our differences, but when we look especially at music, we see how connected we are and how similar we are in nature because as you said, the accents may be different, but the rhythms are the same. Sometimes even the words, the songs, because I would sing something. I'm Jamaican, and sometimes I'd sing something, and rockers would say, well, we have it here, probably with different words, but it's the same. It's the same rhythm,
melody.
So
same
melody. Yes.
Well, folk music is storytelling music.
Yes.
And I realized that there also was a lot of movement between the Caribbean countries back then because we had Haitians here and Jamaicans here. They were members of our police force that were Trinidadians, and so a lot of the melodies were moved around. It's just the stories now become different in the different countries. So I use the same melody to tell the same dirty story that you would tell in Jamaica and Trinidad.
Yes. Well, maybe you have to sing one of those dirty stories for us because I'm telling you,
I was Miss Lady. It is morning television. It is morning television.
Singing one just now, and the reality is that a lot of folk music is raunchy as well.
Yeah.
Raunchy as well. It has that thing like you could talk about sex through the music, and you find it in such a way because I was singing one just now on the break, and it's just while I was singing it, I realized, the implications of what it was saying.
A lot of the songs.
Yes.
I say that to the young people when we speak now that we are very hypocritical because we talk to them about their music, even though they may say it a little bit more outspoken, overt. We say the stories, but we tell it in a funny way,
And I think that's the difference, though. I think that's the difference in terms of the way that the story is told. The crafting of the story is, I think, what people criticize more than the content, because we can go back in time and find the most smuttiest songs, but they're presented in such a palatable way that only if you think like that you would realize what it's about.
Because they use a lot of double entendre, and instead of the explicit way in which the more modern music and stuff is expressed now.
Well, I believe that's a skill that we're starting to lose because you think about the Mighty Sparrow, and in the Bahamas we had the late Ronnie Butler. I sent you some of his music.
Yeah,
they did that. They did that extremely well. You know, Arrow and all of those guys.
Zandoli.
But now the younger people take the license another way, and they just figure, well, we don't have time to go through all that thinking to make, they just give it to you straight up front,
Mr. Ferguson, tell me something. In terms of the passing on of the knowledge of folk music and the Reek and Script and all that stuff, how prevalent is it in the Bahamas? Do you guys have a good culture of doing it?
I think all of us are facing the same thing. We talk about the long arm of America coming down to wherever we are. The passing on of it to the now generation is starting to fade because there's always seeming to find a way to want to fuse it with the hip hop or fuse it with something else. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the evolution of music because arts, they evolve. But as I said earlier, what makes us identifiable is our accents. There's a Jamaican accent here, there's a Trini accent, and here's a Bahamian accent. The difference, even though we are different, we are still one, but we need to maintain that identity, which helps our culture to grow, which defines our culture. And that is starting to get lost and meshed into trying to be very American or very pop. And the traditional music is starting to move too much into popular. And so we're not telling our stories the same way Sparrow and Arrow and Ronnie Butler and Joseph.
I wonder, Mr. Ferguson, if a part of that reasoning is for commercial gain, because we don't have a very good culture of being able to be financially successful just using our Caribbean circuit.
But not, Raucus, I have to disagree just because we have the Jamaica folk singers in Jamaica, and the reality is that they go across the world and they perform. We have been able to some extent to preserve folk music, so I think it's a matter of will.
But how many of them are there? Is that one choir you're talking about? That's the challenge. Is how do we make it accessible to more than just one elite group of people? You know what I mean? I think that's a challenge. That's why everybody.
It's not one elite group of people. The reality is that it is there. Yeah. And I don't know that somebody limits it to say only you can come in. And even if it is one choir is better than no choir. Best Village here in Trinidad and Tobago is better than having nothing, because Best Village allows us to, appreciate the fact that folk music is still there.
But how many people go to see Best Village? So that's a part of the struggle. A part of the struggle is how do we actually make it so that younger people want to be a part of this and continue the tradition?
But a lot of young people are in Best Village. I think we get so used to saying these things aren't there that we don't see what's happening. When you go to Best Village, you have a lot of young people who are a part of Best Village. Same thing with the Tobago Heritage Festival.
I think we have failed to have the will, as you said earlier, to make it prominent and continue.
Yes.
Because along with the folk music, there are dances that go along with these songs. Like with the Reek and Script, we have like 7 moves, and they all kind of sound European, like the round dance and the heel and toe and the polka and all those things. And so, but the younger people don't see that as hip. But we have to find a way as the older generation to preserve those things, because as we all say here, to be identifiable, culture is all about everything that you're doing in your geographical location. And the fact that we try all our best to maintain our accents, the way we say things. You cook rice and peas in Jamaica, we cook peas and rice in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And we cook pilau in Trinidad.
Right. I cooked rice and peas Tuesday. On a Tuesday, it's like, let's get that with the oxtail. It's that kind of day.
All right, so we got to find a way to maintain that and pass that on to the next generations without them feeling embarrassed about it. Because there is something special. And, whenever we travel to any parts of the world and we say we're from the Caribbean, everybody stops and look at us. Because we sound different, we dance differently, and our stories are told funny through the songs that we sing.
And you know what? The thing is that we are so proud of our accents because we recognize that it's something positive. So even though we may change our dress code and we dress like American or European, when it comes down to our accent, the fact that people respond to it like that, we hold on to that.
Yes.
You know, as Jamaicans, when we go anywhere, we don't try to speak like anybody else. There's no European or American accent. It's like, Wagwan, you all right?
Yes,
Yeah, man.
That's
you know?
I think it's not the same for Trinidad and Tobago. I think oftentimes when people from Trinidad and Tobago go abroad, especially younger people, and they go to study and whatnot, they tend to adopt the accent of wherever they are.
That's the fresh waters on them. Yeah, that's
the fresh. Yeah, you know, a Trini go to America for a year, let's say, they come back with an American accent. They go to Jamaica for a year, they come back with a Jamaican accent. And I think that that's something with our culture here that we need to address, because we're so quick to discard our culture and pick up somebody else's.
I think we suffer with the same illness in the Bahamas as well. And again, you know, we're like next door, on the front porch of America.
Yeah.
So, you know, and we move freely back and forth, but I still don't think that should be a reason for us to let it go. And I think those people that we elect to lead us should make it a point to preserve it, because that is what makes us different. And you know, being different in the world is what makes the world go round. And
so true.
And the music that some of the younger people are recording the music now. They have not been fairly given the history of some of the things that they are playing. And so as a result of that, the music is becoming repetitive because they only can build it from what they know.
And it's also a bit shallow.
And pretty shallow. And so we can't blame them. We just need to find a way to ensure that they are made aware of what these rhythms are. How Ronnie Butler told the story that he did in the song Burma Road. How Sparrow tells, you know, the gentleman was talking with the song he sang earlier that Natalie was singing along with him. You know, how they put those lyrics together to rhyme rhythmically and still hold your interest with the melody. That's a skill form that we need to pass on to the next generation.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But the thing, you know, one of the things I recognized, I didn't even realize how much folk songs I knew until I heard the rhythm or I heard people singing them. So it means that there was some exposure along the way, but it was just there subconsciously.
Yes, but there's, like you said to the gentleman earlier, you sang that same song in Jamaica with different lyrics. And
yes.
I'm sure if I listen to it again, I can find another song in the Bahamas that we did. But if
all right, well, sing something for we know. As we'd say in Jamaica, sing something for we know.
See, if you dig deep enough into this whole discussion, it's all based around that Baptist church thing, that African church thing we came from. All those 1, 4, 5 chords, you know, we have.
Well, Mr. Ferguson, I realize you don't understand Jamaican part, but I asked you so beautifully to sing something for me now.
I don't think you realize he ignored that request.
He breaks in.
No, man, he'll sing something for us.
I don't think you recognize in my Bahamian dialect that I'm ignoring you. But you know, I'm not really a singer. I've been producing, and I'm more of a performer than a singer. But you know, one thing about the songs that we do over the years are very repetitive. Oh, let we go down to Bimini, never get a lick until you go down to Bimini, and that repeats. Emma, why you don't walk fast? Prickle in my foot. Emma, why you don't walk fast? Prickle in my foot. And the repetitive nature of these songs are what make them so stick into our souls, you know. So there it is.
You get a little bit of singing there, Natalie.
Well, but you have a nice voice. You have a nice voice.
Well, he's a musician. He must be able to keep a little key and thing.
True.
Mr. Ferguson, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing some of the Bahamian way with us. I'm going to play this one. You sent me one of these songs by Ronnie Butler, Look What You Do. I think we're going to play that one to go out. So thank you so much, Mr. Ferguson, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Have a good one. I was able to write and produce for the legend, Ronnie Butler, and made it as a duet with the queen of Junkanoo in the Bahamas, Sweet Emily. So I appreciate you doing that song. Thank you for having me. Let's do it again.
Take care.
Yes.
Definitely. Have a good one.